Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back in another video from Totally Not Mark, and today we are checking out modern Dragon Ball's biggest mistake. So I feel like this is going to be about whether or not it was the right decision to make all the characters young. Because I feel like the story's decent anyway. There's a lot of lore and world building and stuff going on, and a lot of interesting characters introduced. So it does beg questions like, did they need to be turned into kids? But I don't know. I don't know if that is what this video is addressing. That's what I'm guessing. Let's get into it.
Would Dragon Ball Daima have been more
okay, yeah.
successful if they had never turned the cast into children? This is a question I've come to ask myself a lot as of late. Since Daima's first trailer back in 2023, the general impression amongst the masses in response has been a little...
Wait, what? I've never seen a series be so consistently disappointing.
Nobody.
Damn.
Now, obviously, not everyone had
We
this
will
reaction.
borrow.
People were excited, myself
I've enjoyed it.
included, but
I mean, I'm a few episodes behind. I've just got up to the episode where Vegeta went Super Saiyan 3. That's where I'm up to. Oh god, spoilers in case. Sorry.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Dragon Ball Daima didn't receive a sizable amount of pushback due to this creative choice. A pushback that certainly couldn't have helped the series find the momentum that it has sorely needed. With only a few episodes now remaining, despite all the polish and
Because I thought it was like a 50-odd episode thing, so...
story oversight, Dragon Ball Daima has not quite managed to capture the same mass appeal many fans had started to take for granted from the IP. On the channel, we've already explored the reasons behind Daima's virtually non-existent marketing campaign, but today I want to see what the show could have looked like had they not been transformed into children in the first place.
Okay.
Will it work better, or did this creative choice play more of a role than we initially thought? Whatever the case may be, myself and my team are taking some of the best shots from the series and redrawing them completely as adults.
Oh, cool.
And kicking things off will be the one and only Trev.
Nice.
Episode 6 of Daima was the first major action set piece for the show, so where better to start than right here? Fitting also as it offers the perfect opportunity to explore the pros and the cons of the choice to age the cast down.
This is the thing that confused me. There's only so many episodes left. But there's so much thought that went into the world building and the everything and
Goku's always been the man.
Oh, and just so you know, I am going to, as of every Friday now, be checking out Team 4 Star's reviews of the Daima episodes. Yeah.
Even when he was a kid.
Because you might not notice, but I've changed my schedule up to from every day, 3 videos a day, to 2 videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm sprinkling in a few more this week, but I just need to lower the volume of videos down so I can do stuff in my actual life. I've got a lot of important stuff that I'm trying to sort, and I just couldn't do it doing 3 videos every single day. So it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 videos, and then every now and then I might throw in one random video somewhere else, but yeah.
And
Sorry.
this episode is no different. He walks up to Glorio, gently whispers into his ear, "Hey, Gorillo, I'm him," before proceeding to clap his cheeks in the most embarrassing way possible.
Nice.
But why does this scene work, and would it be better served if he were an adult? Well, Goku's always sort of been on the goofy and innocent side of things. But, as any seasoned fan of Dragon Ball will tell you, he has always rocked that aura. And no, I am not talking about the white swooshies around his body. Throughout the Frieza, Cell, Buu, and whatever arcs, Goku has been able to stand on business when he's pushed
Oh yeah,
to,
definitely.
sometimes to devastating effect. And when he is an adult man,
Well, yeah, that's a prime example. I love that.
and that aura is much more intimidating. However, when he's a kid, that aura is still present. It's just got a different flavor to it.
Yeah, he's got a childish approach to it.
The story of Glorio vs. Goku is one of a strong, stoic loner doubting the scope of Goku's abilities, and I don't think that would have been as effective or believable if Goku were presented as an adult. There are moments in Dragon Ball Z where Toriyama tried to portray Goku as an adult, as an unassuming, unremarkable guy. A great example of this can be seen in the lead up to his return in the Buu saga for the tournament. While training with King Kai, Goku is wearing weights around his extremities, thus nerfing his abilities, convincing the other Kai that he's not all that special before before turning Super Saiyan and wrecking house. That's fine, but Toriyama needed to find ways, creative ways, to make Goku look weak that were divorced from how he looked.
So, make him a kid, it's a lot easier, yeah.
In other words, Toriyama needed to create ways to circumnavigate the visual presentation of his character. In this particular instance, adult buff Goku was working against what he was trying to achieve. As an adult, Goku looks like a tall, confident, and buff man, which makes creating scenes like this one with Glorio a lot more difficult. I mean, if Goku's a kid, and if you think about it, of course Glorio would discount a literal child that he literally looks down on constantly.
Yeah.
Without words, visually, that perceived pecking order is communicated. However, when you scale up Goku, while it still looks incredible thanks to Trev's...
Wow! The stuff they do in these videos is so cool. That does look sick, but do get what he's saying.
Amazing artwork, that same story doesn't hit as strong. Instead of a kid being the one Glorio underestimated, suddenly it's a clearly bigger and
adult,
stronger Super Saiyan, which just creates an entirely different vibe and dynamic.
Yeah, it just makes sense, doesn't it? So, yeah.
Next up, me. And what I'm drawing is perhaps the best example yet of a positive consequence of Goku being turned into a kid.
Nice. Oh, this fight.
As of the making of this video, Tamagami number 3 versus Goku is the best fight of the series in my book. And it is for one simple reason.
It is sick.
Understands Goku. Despite my preference for adult kick-ass characters in my Dragon Ball, even I have to concede that this is a fight that simply would not have been better had Goku been aged up for it. And this is where we transition away from talking exclusively about the visuals and are forced to consider and contend with how those visuals impact or, in the case of this fight, inform the action that plays out. Similar to Goku's tussle with Glorio, a driving force behind Tamagami 3 versus Goku is a slow and sobering realization on behalf of everyone watching the fight that Goku is the fucking man.
Yeah, this is yeah, it is class. But because he's small and he's able to do all that stuff, it just looks absolutely freaking sick. If you had big Goku, you wouldn't be able to like do all the cool, intricate stuff that he does within this fight.
Half the fight is Tamagami 3 realizing this for himself. Tamagami uses a weapon and Goku follows suit. Tamagami breaks his weapon and so Goku sheaths his Nyoibo out of respect and challenge.
Let's go.
There are countless moments of subtle storytelling coloring this entire fight that makes it one of the best Goku outings, but more than that, the choreography of this fight demands Goku be
small. Yeah.
Back in early Dragon Ball, an expressed and intentional visual contrast was established between the likes of Goku and Krillin.
I got that fuck up.
Within the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, both of these characters would face off against obnoxious, powerful, or confident individuals that all had one thing in common. They were huge. Look at the size of him! Leaning into the themes of older Bruce Lee films, where the bigger, overconfident bully tried and failed to take on Bruce, Toriyama loved to leverage and draw his heroes as diminutive paragons of either virtue, talent, or innocence that stood in the face of enormous evils. In other words, the small stature of Goku in these fights helped to sell and communicate the story it was trying to tell. And while Tamagami 3 isn't evil in any respect, Goku and this fight more than definitely communicate a contrast in size between them. And interestingly, the entire fight sort of depends on that dynamic. While this Goku I'm drawing looks cool, when you look at the original, even here you can see that scale of Goku versus Tamagami's arm emphasizes their size difference, a contrast that is foundational to the DNA of this series. And so, while I cannot say adult Goku would make this fight better or worse, I can say that such a change would necessitate a completely different choreography and approach, which, given this is one of the best fights in the series, I think, would be nothing short of an enormous loss. With that said, here's my finished piece.
That looks sick.
And with that, we are moving on once again to Trev. And this time, it's Vegeta in the club. With scenes like Goku versus Glorio or the fight with Tamagami number 3, I think it's very easy to understand why the cast being children is used to the show's advantage. Those narrative beats and fights are fundamentally structured around their smaller size and utilize that to great effect. But by contrast, this is sort of a scene that exists mostly divorced from that concept. Yeah, you do have a bit where Kid Vegeta beats up a bunch of Demon World goons, which might not be quite as funny if they were adults, but I'm also not super convinced by that line of thinking either. A pissy adult Vegeta walking around an alien nightclub with this little tray full of food and getting into a fight is plenty funny on its own, particularly when you consider the savage introduction he had during the Saiyan
Yeah,
saga.
I suppose, yeah, it would be
A
okay.
person he killed, and yet for some reason in this show he has a hang-up about eating the revive bugs.
You know, that's good, but it's not classy.
Anyway, what really drives this scene above all else is its atmosphere. The direction leans heavily on the environment, washing the characters in deep neon colors with
Yeah, the lighting is sick. I did like that. It was so cool. Oh,
sharp
the
rim lighting on either
recreating it.
side.
Cool.
All of that comes together to
Oh, wow, they're doing everyone. I love that. That's sick.
make this genuinely feel like a new place for the characters to explore. And in truth, this could easily apply to a substantial chunk of the show. There are tons of scenes, or entire episodes really, where much of the weight is carried by the direction, with the cast as chess pieces within those scenes. And there are clear examples of this. Basically, the entirety of episode 13 is also centered in its direction, and would not really lose anything by having the gang as adults. I mean, if you think about it, I don't think a few feet or inches in height is going to make much of a change in contrast with those
Yeah.
giants. I mean, do you? And so looking at it that way, it does give me a bit of pause. Maybe the show could have foregone the de-aging process, and with a few tweaks to the script and action, we could conceivably have been good to go. So yeah, this is one where the kid's aesthetic wasn't necessary. And
Right,
you need
yeah,
to look no
okay.
further than Trev's
Wow.
final result here. This could totally work.
That looks so sick. That's so cool. Oh my god.
Next up, the Mouse Man himself, AJ.
All right.
He will be redrawing what has become a fan favorite.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Very, very
Scene with
interesting.
none other than Vegeta.
Yes.
There we go, back at it again with some good old action set pieces. Only this time, I think I feel quite a bit different than the previous action shots we've discussed in this video.
Yeah, Vegeta being small didn't really like have much to do with the fight. He could have just been an adult in this. Yeah.
For Goku vs. Glorio, there was a narrative purpose reinforcing the need for Goku to look like a kid, with the action stemming from that exchange being informed by that very visual contrast. Additionally, with Goku vs. Tamagami 3, every second of the action depended on the size difference.
Yeah.
Remove it and the fight just doesn't work at all. However, when I look at Vegeta vs. Tamagami number 2,
Not
I'm
necessary.
not so sure that same principle applies. The fight basically can be split into 3 sections. Section 1, Vegeta explodes out the gate with a convincing and strong performance. Section 2, thanks to Neva's power boost, the tides begin to shift in Tamagami 2's favor. Vegeta now is looking like he's being overwhelmed. And finally, section number 3. This is where Vegeta goes Super Saiyan 3 and proceeds
So
to
sick.
whoop ass until the fight is over. The crowd cheers only for us to realize that we need to patiently sit down and wait for this robot guy to tell his riddle. On its face, Vegeta vs. Tamagami 2 seems to share a lot in common with Goku vs. Tamagami 3. They both established that these two Saiyans should not be underestimated and ultimately were far more powerful than either Tamagami could offer. However, there is a critical difference between the two, and that's in how these fights are choreographed and play out. Ask yourself this: what part of this fight with Vegeta would be lost if he was an adult? I mean, if he was an adult,
Wrong.
Section 1 would remain largely the same, right? Adult Vegeta, after all, is plenty overbearing, certainly enough to deliver a convincingly strong start. Section 2 would largely also be unaffected.
The only thing I can think of is that, like, he does mention a few times that he's still trying to adjust to his kid body, so, like, it's hard for him to just, like, go into the fight straight away. That's the only thing I can think of.
After all, adult
So, like, he struggles more than he really should do with the fight.
Vegeta has plenty of experience in getting his shit pushed in. It might even be more entertaining and effective narratively if Vegeta was an adult for this also, though I will concede that could be debatable. And then we finally have Section 3, which is an even easier argument to be made for adult Vegeta. What separates Vegeta's fight from Goku's is that none of the action demonstrated in episodes 11 and 12 was contingent on Vegeta's small frame, but rather simply aimed to make Vegeta feel like an overwhelming, domineering force upon the Tamagami. Unlike Goku vs. Tamagami 3, it never leveraged the size of Vegeta to inform the choreography in any capacity. And as much as I love Vegeta's Super Saiyan 3 design
Yeah.
in kid form, it's remarkably easy to imagine how much cooler and more overwhelming this scene could have been with a full-grown man staring down the guardian of the Demon Realm's second ball.
Thing is, well, I love the fact that we will probably get more Funko Pops now, because Goku and Vegeta are like the two that I collect. I think I've got like nearly every single one that you could possibly get, apart from Planet of Rally Vegeta, and there's one random Goku one. But yeah, to then have Daima in, it's like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta as a kid is going to be the most random Funko Pop, but I love it.
Thankfully, though, we don't have to imagine, because AJ has knocked this one out of the
That
park.
looks sick.
Next up, back to Old Faithful with Trev, and we don't have to even switch scenes.
Oh. Oh, cool. Let's go.
That's right, another Super Saiyan 3 shot. Don't judge me, adult Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta just looked awesome here. But fear not though, there is a point to this particular drawing. If it isn't clear, I think the previous shot from AJ works 100% as an adult. And the case could be made that it maybe even elevates it a bit.
Yeah, but then we got a classic attack coming from Vegeta here.
That is not always the case necessarily. This shot of Kid Vegeta performing the Gallic Gun is a great example of one element that is unavoidable even in scenes where the action isn't explicitly choreographed around their size. And that element is proportions and negative space. When an anime is planning out its scenes, storyboard artists have to draft up compositions for not only what the characters are doing, but also how the camera frames them.
Yeah, like where are they? What are they doing? What's happening in the background? You can't just have nothing going on.
Stage of production makes a huge difference in its own right, making the difference between a stunning, dynamic shot like this and a flat, wide shot like this for the 50th time in a row. But it's not just about doing cool tricks with perspective either. How any given shot is framed comes down largely to their character's proportions and features. The original Gallic Gun shot here works well because Vegeta's small, compact proportions play well with the wide shot. His head is big compared to the rest of his body, so his face is front and center, allowing the pose and ki to flow naturally with each other.
And then the energy and everything like that is filling the space as well, yeah.
It looks awesome, but the second Vegeta is aged up to his adult size, this framing begins to, well, fall apart kinda.
Does, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, because there's more to work with the space and that, because he's smaller. Oh.
Adult proportions mean the posing not only flows worse in this case, but also becomes the focal point rather than Vegeta and the attack itself. This exact issue is why other examples of Vegeta using the move in Super frames things differently. Instead, they typically split up the move into a close-up and then a long shot for the move being fired.
Okay.
And that works because it plays into Vegeta's adult proportions. Whereas here, while Trev's drawing is incredibly well done,
That is
no doubt,
cool.
the very framing itself makes
Yeah, it's a
this
bit
whole
odd.
thing
Yeah,
just
alright.
a little awkward
Yeah, that's interesting.
with a lot of negative space. Our eyes don't exactly know where to look, and as a result, it's certainly less effective than the original, I'd say. And with that, we have one final redraw today, and it's my turn.
What we got?
We discussed a lot today in a pretty short amount of time. The benefits of the cast becoming kids narratively, as well as facilitating unique action and framing, are certainly clear positives. But we've also posited that, actually, yeah, there is quite a bit of the show that could, in theory, work perfectly fine
Without
with the
it,
crew as
yeah.
adults, with certain instances perhaps being better served with adult characters in the first place. But I believe there's one element I haven't yet covered, one that's perhaps more important than the rest combined, and that is the very nature of the show itself. From the get-go, Dragon Ball Daima was created for one primary purpose: to be a special anniversary show celebrating the series' 40th anniversary.
Right, yeah.
40 years ago, or I suppose 41 years now, the very first chapter of Dragon Ball released.
Crazy.
And from there sprung forth months upon years of masterfully crafted jokes, fights, and characters from the pen of Akira Toriyama for us all to enjoy. Due to the roaring success of Goku as an adult across the world, many of us, myself included, might be guilty of forgetting that for 4 years straight,
It was a
Goku
kid, yeah.
was Dragon Ball. He was as iconic and inseparable as many of us view adult Goku today. So with that in mind, it seems only natural that for a big anniversary show, they
go
would
back
want
to
to
the
revisit
roots.
those roots and take us on one more big adventure with the kid that started it all. I do have to admit, drawing this Goku as an adult is really fun, if not cathartic. I love adult Goku the most, and since we don't get to see him with his Nyoibo very often, it's a cool sight to see him like this.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that's not why this show exists, really. It exists to give longtime fans a nostalgic look at their once favorite character and send Goku and Co. on another OG Dragon Ball style adventure. In the end, I like how my drawing came out here, I might even prefer it, but one thing that's undeniable is that it just doesn't quite serve the same purpose the original was designed to fulfill.
That does look really freaking cool though, Mark. You've done a really good job on that.
At the end of it all, I feel like doing these redraws with Trev and AJ has really helped inform my view of this topic more than I expected. Going in, I already knew that a lot of the action choreography revolved explicitly around the cast's smaller size, and that there are some scenes that would just outright be cooler if they weren't kids. But seeing the subtle but ever-present impacts the de-aging has on storyboarding, narrative, posing, and just about every facet of the show itself, it's helped me to appreciate what Dragon Ball Daima is doing. I certainly don't fault anyone for wishing Goku and Co were adults. Trust me, I do get it. For many of us, adult Goku is the Goku we know, and reverting back to OG Dragon Ball aesthetics just doesn't quite hit the same for us. But this show is an anniversary project, not a new direction. One meant to celebrate the series' roots and genuinely explore what can be done with these little kids' bodies now that we have all these fancy new moves and transformations and designs themselves from Akira Toriyama. And I think the show delivers on that remarkably well. For better or worse, I think Goku vs. Tamagami 3 is one of the best fights in all of modern Dragon Ball. It instantly soars up to the heights of Tournament of Power for me, or even the Broly movie, really. And again, important to point out, that fight necessarily would be completely different if the crew were adults. That same facet applies to so many fights, scenes, and narrative beats that I think an alternate reality where they were adults would be cool, but it also would entail necessarily a completely different show. And so with that, I'm going to get back to watching Dragon Ball Daima and look forward to what this show has in store for us. Dragon Ball has been around for almost half a century, and if nothing else, I think it has more than earned a victory lap. If you like the look of these drawings, all the artist socials are in the descriptions down below, including Aubrey, who was an incredible composite artist on this production. Without them, our final pieces wouldn't have looked nearly as authentic. I hope you all took something interesting away from this video. It was a blast to make, and I can't wait to see how Daima ends. But until then, I've been Totally Not Mark, and thank you all so much for watching.
So it must be a 2-core thing then, so we've still got a few weeks left. But yeah, I thought it was like going to be like a continuously like 50 odd like episode thing. That's crazy. I thought it had a lot more life in it, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting approach at like whether or not it's a good decision, because there's some points where it's like, yeah, it makes sense. There's some where it's like, not really necessary. But that was cool. Awesome video, like always, from Totally Not Mark, and thank you for watching.